Hello there and welcome into our Big Ten Network studios in Chicago. I'm Kevin Egan for another edition of the BTN Soccer Report. Well, national champion Indiana and 5th ranked in the nation, Northwestern, should really be dominating the Big Ten Conference, right? Wrong. Both toppled over the weekend in dramatic fashion, and we're here to show you the highlights. Starting with Michigan at Ohio State at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. Both teams coming into this one after grueling matches on Wednesday night. Michigan ousting Western Michigan by 3-1, and the Buckeyes had a hard-fought 0-0 draw at Louisville, and the game was settled by this absolute cracker. Irishman James Murphy turning and volleying in dramatic fashion into the top corner. Alex Ivanov could do little or nothing about it. One of the best goals we'll see all year outside of the Big Ten and beyond. From then on, it was a case of Adam Grinwis and the Michigan Wolverines digging deep. Jack Daly, a defensive coach, would have been proud of his goalkeeper. 5 saves on the day, and Michigan just had to bunker down under pressure from Ohio State. Grinwis came up big. The Buckeyes with 15 shots in total. Ohio State now still craves its first Big Ten win. That's back-to-back wins for the Michigan Wolverines. They moved to 4-3-3. To Sunday now. Second overtime, Northwestern hosting Michigan State. Last time the Spartans played here, of course, was the Big Ten tournament final victory over Michigan last season. And they won it late on. Dramatic fashion, wonderful skill inside the box. The cross falls to the head of the big man, Adam Montague, putting away his 3rd goal of the season. Dramatic finish to a wonderful contest. Michigan State wins in the end, ousting 5th-ranked Northwestern by 3-2. Celebrate they will. And then national champion Indiana and Todd Yeagley. A tough matchup against a lively Penn State side, and lively start it was for the Nittany Lions. Grant Warming with a wonderful delivery. And what about that for a finish? 15th minute, Jordan Tyler, his 2nd of the season. After a classy cross from Grant Warming, he tucked it away with ease. And then Penn State, to surprise in Bloomington, double their advantage. A wicked strike with a cultured right boot of Owen Griffith, top corner.
Michael Southerland could do nothing about it.
A classy strike, and the Nittany Lions doubled their lead. It was all pressure then from the national champion Indiana. Coming back, Femi Hollinger-Jansen, Tommy Thompson. In the end, the ball couldn't be bundled over the line. A great stop from Andrew Wolverton. Then, penalty awarded to Indiana. The referee giving the spot kick to Tommy Thompson. The wee man falling over under the challenge, and he stepped up himself to take it. Wolverton, the man we picked out a few weeks ago as candidate for goalkeeper of the year, coming up big style for his team. It finished Penn State 2, Indiana 0. So to the standings we go. And Bob Warming's Penn State now sit on top of the summit of the Big Ten standings, 2-0-0, 7-3-1 in total. Ohio State down at the bottom, still craving their first win of the Big Ten Conference, but wonderful stuff all around from Penn State. Somebody will have to catch the Nittany Lions. And I'm delighted to be joined by Penn State's head coach, Bob Warming. Bob, an incredible victory over the national champion over the weekend, Indiana. What was the most pleasing aspect of the victory for you?
It's probably a lot more pleasing than this. Usually on that split screen, I'll try not to be a guy next to a guy who's looking real good like you, brother. Don't want to associate too closely with those good-looking guys. The biggest thing for me was when we won the match, our guys wasn't a wild celebration. Guys just went over and shook Indiana's hand, and we're ready to go to the next match.
What about your defence? Because you've only conceded 9 goals in 11 games, and I pinpointed Andrew Wolverton as a guy who was going to have a big year this year, and so far he's been superb, hasn't he?
I heard you that little prediction that you had there, buddy. Yeah, you know what? Last year, Wolby was injured. He 4 months he couldn't train, Kevin. Couldn't do anything because of a hip impingement. So we kind of split time and goal, tried to work him back in. But, now that he's healthy, it's a 180-degree turn. He's been so healthy, knock on wood. He's had a great summer of training in the PDL. He has great training with Bo Shawnee every day, and he looks the real deal.
Good stuff. Now, you shared Big Ten honours last year, of course, with Northwestern, and I'm sure you'll agree that the parity in the Big Ten, would you think it's greater this year than any year before?
I think college soccer in general, the parity is unbelievable right now. We were just sitting in here talking about St. Francis that beat us, but they also beat William and Mary, that beat #1 in the country this year, North Carolina. They beat #1 in the country at the time, Creighton. The parity is unbelievable.
Good stuff. Well, your team obviously sits at the summit of the Big Ten right now. You're the team to catch. How happy are you with your group as a whole so far this season?
You know what? If we weren't winning games, I'd still be happy because the guys are terrific to be around. It's a very, very young team. They come every single day wanting to get better. They're real soccer junkies. They're bright, bright kids. We have 4 of the guys on our team that are in the Schreier's Honors College, which is the brightest and the best students on campus. They're just delightful to be around and happy to be able to coach them every day.
So if there's one aspect of your team that you've felt has really, really improved in the off-season, what exactly is it?
We had a great spring. We went undefeated in the spring, but I think the biggest thing is now, and this is no offense to anybody else, it's just that we have a group of guys that are here now because they want to play soccer at Penn State. We had some guys that came to Penn State just because it was a great academic institution that we had on the team before, which is great. We had guys that came here because I think it's number 1 or number 2 party school, and in all the rankings, which is fine. I mean, if that's what they wanted to do. But for us, we have guys now that are total soccer junkies. They love the sport. They want to see how good they can be, and that makes it really delightful for me every day to come to work.
Great to hear, Coach. And as you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So how far can this team go this season, do you feel?
I don't want to set any limits at all on that. The Final Four is in Philly. Penn State hasn't been to the Final Four since 1979. That's 34 years. We're doing our best to make sure it's not 35. And it's in Philly again next year as well. So I think we're in a point right now where our players believe. They believe we can win on the road. They believe that we can play with anybody. Ty and Cal, and really having great chances to win the game. Cal, number 1 in the country right now. I think this group has a great belief, and as you know, that's an important part of winning.
Well, if you heard me praise Andrew Wolverton just a few weeks ago, I think you'll remember hearing me question where the goals were going to come from. 5 goals so far in 2 games in the Big Ten. I think I'll get my coat, will I?
Well, you know what? I don't blame you for having that prognostication because, it's always a question in soccer. Where are the goals coming from? And right now, I thought maybe we could have had 5 or 6 against Wisconsin. The guys are very focused and they're getting better all the time. And it's just been delightful to see Jordan Tyler, who had a terrible ACL injury, and for him to come back and be ahead of schedule and scoring goals now is terrific. Eli Dennis, a guy who's kind of played all over the place a little bit in his career, is developed into a pretty good target striker and devastating to other opponents in the air. We got Owen Griffith playing up top now, and Owen scored a great goal against Indiana and created all kinds of problems for him. So we've got several guys that are going to be a problem for people.
Well, Coach Bob Warming, thanks so much for the time. You're an absolute gentleman. Best of luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you.
So as the Big Ten race heats up, let's check out the schedule for next weekend. On Friday, Michigan Wolverines travel to table toppers Penn State. Also, Indiana, the national champions, go to Wisconsin in what will be a very tough game against John Trask and the Badgers. And then on Sunday, our live game on the Big Ten Network at 1 o'clock Eastern. It's Ohio State looking for their first win against a Michigan State team in flying form. Well, that's about all we have time for this week. Now, make sure you get your comments and questions into us, as always, on Twitter. It's at BTN Soccer Report. Until next week, thanks to our producer, John Bulfin, Director Jeff Carrier. We'll chat to you then. All the best.